He stood 6'9", weighed nearly 300 pounds, and had an IQ of 145, bordering on genius. To the police officers he regularly hung out with at a local bar, he was just Big Ed, a friendly, talkative guy, but behind this disarming facade was a monster, one of the most methodical and disturbing serial killers in American history, Ed Kemper, the co-ed killer. His story isn't just about the horrifying acts he committed. It's a chilling exploration of a deeply fractured mind that hid in plain sight. Born in 1948 in Burbank, California, Ed's childhood was a nightmare. His mother, Clarnell, was domineering, emotionally abusive, and relentlessly cruel. She would lock him in the basement, fearing he might harm his sisters, and constantly belittled him, calling him a failure and a freak. This constant torment planted a seed of intense, simmering rage within him, a rage specifically directed at his mother. His fantasies grew dark and violent. He would perform mock executions on his sister's dolls and had disturbing thoughts about his female teacher. The warning signs were all there, but they were largely ignored. The first explosion of this pent-up violence was shocking. In 1964, at just 15 years old, Ed ran away from his mother to live with his paternal grandparents. The peace didn't last. After a heated argument, he shot and killed his grandmother. When his grandfather returned home, Ed killed him too, simply so he wouldn't have to see his reaction to his wife's death. When he called his mother to confess, her first question wasn't about his grandparents. It was, "What will the neighbors think?" He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and sent to a maximum security facility for the criminally insane. But here's where the story takes another terrifying turn. During his 5 years in the facility, Kemper manipulated everyone. He was a model inmate, intelligent and cooperative. He studied, worked, and even helped administer psychological tests to other inmates. The psychiatrists were completely fooled. They believed his rage against his mother had been symbolically resolved by killing his grandmother, who he saw as a similar authority figure. Against the advice of some, they deemed him rehabilitated, and in 1969, at the age of 21, Ed Kemper was released back into the world, directly into the custody of the one person he hated most, his mother. Living with her again, the old patterns of humiliation and control returned, and the pressure inside him began to build once more. He tried to live a normal life, working odd jobs, and even attempting to join the police force. But he was rejected because of his immense size. Instead, he found a way to get close to them. He frequented a bar called the Jury Room, a popular spot for Santa Cruz police officers. He'd listen to their stories, buy them drinks, and absorb every detail about their procedures and investigations. They saw him as a harmless, friendly giant. They had no idea they were sharing beers with the very predator they would soon be hunting. In May of 1972, the killings began. Kemper started targeting young female hitchhikers, mostly college students from the Santa Cruz area, which is how he earned the name the co-ed killer. His methods were chillingly systematic. He would pick them up in his car, gain their trust with his non-threatening demeanor, and then drive them to a secluded area. His intelligence and size made escape impossible. Over the next 10 months, he murdered 6 young women, becoming bolder and more brazen with each act. The community was gripped by fear, with a massive police manhunt underway. And all the while, Big Ed was at the jury room, listening to the police talk about the case, sometimes even offering his own theories. The entire time, his ultimate target was always in the back of his mind. On April 20th, 1973, Good Friday, he finally reached his breaking point. While his mother was asleep, he attacked and killed her in her bed. For him, this was the culmination of a lifetime of rage. To add a final, grotesque act of contempt, he then invited his mother's best friend over to the house and killed her as well. With his primary motivation gone, Kemper's world collapsed. He had achieved his life's purpose, and now he was empty. He packed some things in his car and just started driving east. He drove for hundreds of miles, listening to the radio, waiting for news reports about the murders of his mother and her friend. But there was nothing. It was as if no one had even noticed they were gone. The invisibility, the lack of recognition for what he considered his life's work, was an insult he couldn't bear. So, from a payphone in Pueblo, Colorado, Edmund Kemper called the Santa Cruz police. At first, they didn't believe him. They thought it was a prank call. He was so detailed, so calm, that they were suspicious. He had to convince them, patiently listing details of the crimes that only the killer could know. He told them where to find the bodies, and then simply waited for them to come and get him. He surrendered, without a fight. During his confession and trial, Kemper was astonishingly articulate and self-aware. He spoke about his crimes in a detached, analytical tone, providing psychologists and criminologists with an unprecedented look into the mind of a serial killer. He explained his motivations, his methods, and the deep-seated hatred that drove him. He didn't want the insanity defense, he wanted the death penalty. He wanted to be executed, but California had temporarily suspended capital punishment. He was found guilty of 8 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. To this day, Edmund Kemper remains in the California Medical Facility, a model inmate once again. He's recorded hundreds of audiobooks for the blind, his calm, deep voice reading stories to the visually impaired. It's a surreal final chapter to a story of unimaginable horror. A brilliant mind twisted by abuse, a friendly giant who was a monster, and a killer who hid where no one thought to look, right beside the law. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, please like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the shadows of history.